Welcome to ACC Student News.
The news students can use. I'm Jori.
And I'm Ailith. Here are this week's stories. The world was shocked this week with the shooting death of activist Charlie Kirk at the event at Utah University.
The 31-year-old was at an event hosted by the school chapter of Turning Point. USA law enforcement officials said the shot was believed to come from a person on the roof of a building. A witness told news media that he heard the gunshot and saw him fall out of his chair with blood coming from his neck. Kirk was quickly taken to an area hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. Authorities do have a person of interest in custody. A father and son were assaulted while riding their bikes through a golf course in the Lake of Four Seasons.
Two men from a home that sits adjacent to the golf course battered the father and son after yelling at them that the trail is only for golfers. According to the Times, the males were yelling and cursing at the two. Both men had admitted to, but have no idea how the physical altercation occurred, but insisted that the father was to blame. According to the father, one man threw his bike and attempted to batter him, but he was able to defend himself. Witnesses on the scene were able to verify that the father's story as well as provided video account of the incident. More than 300 South Korean workers have returned home following the days in Georgia ICE detention centers after a United States immigration raid.
475 battery workers were detained at their workplace by ICE. Video surveillance shows South Korean workers shackled with chains around their wrists, waist, and ankles. The raid caused a major outrage as South Korea is a vital ally to the United States. After days in custody, the workers were able to contact their family members and were flown to South Korea following the nation's agreement for release. Workers could either stay in the United States and continue to work at the factory or fly to South Korea. Several workers were interviewed and most flew to South Korea to be reunited with loved ones, but some stayed in the United States for family and work. A Gary man on trial for killing his wife has been released from all charges. Ellis Bishop was arrested after police believed he shot his wife in the stomach.
Upon the arrival at the scene, police saw the man's wife lying on the front stairs holding her stomach. She was rushed to the University of Chicago hospital, where she was later pronounced dead. The case was immediately ruled as a homicide. Reported officers took little to no crime scene photos at the point, and at no point did a detective investigate the scene. Bishop told the officers at the scene that he hoped she didn't die and he was trying to scare her. The couple was reportedly drinking, when the two got into an argument and Bishop pulled out a gun. Bishop later testified that he pulled out the gun in self-defense and that it just went off. The jury and judge ultimately came to the conclusion that the bishop was not guilty and all the charges had been dropped. A law enforcement officer shot at a student at USA Naval Academy during the lockdown that was promoted by online threats from someone who had been kicked out of the institution.
The shooting on an Annapolis, Maryland campus occurred after the midshipman mistook a responding law enforcement officer for a threat and struck the officer with the parade rifle used for training. The lockdown was prompted by anonymous threats made on social media by a student who had been kicked out of the academy. That student was not on campus, but used an IP address to make it look as though they were. The student the law enforcement officer shot was hospitalized and is expected to be okay. Prince Harry has made a surprise visit to Kiev after an invitation by an organization that supports Ukrainians with life-changing injuries caused by the war.
The Duke of Sussex arrived by the train and wanted to do everything possible to help the recovery injured military personnel. Founder Ola Ronihev greeted the prince off the train with a hug. She handed the Prince of Positania a silver holder for the glass used to drink tea traditionally provided on the night trains across Ukraine. UK Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper was also in Kiev on Friday, where she announced a further $142 million in UK aid to support Ukraine's energy infrastructure and vulnerable communities during the visit. Cooper met the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, Prime Minister Yulia Skryabinska, and Foreign Minister Andrea Sybiha.
That's all the news we have for now.
Stay tuned for more news after the break.
Major depression affects more than 8% of American adults each year. 15% of youth in America ages 12 to 17 are affected by major depression. Half of them have full remission of their depression later on in life. And most adults don't see depression as normal for kids of that age. I got this information from Mental Health America.
Hi! How are you today?
Alive.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Well, nice talking.
Welcome back to ACC Student News.
Here are the rest of the stories. Jefferson County, Colorado police have released the identity of the Evergreen High School shooter.
According to the authorities, 16-year-old Damon Hawley who opened fire at the Evergreen High School has died from self-inflicted gunshot wound at the hospital in the initial report of the victims. They listed 3 teenagers were taken to the hospital. 2 of the students remain in the hospital. 1 is still in critical condition, and 1 is in stable condition with the non-life-threatening injuries. Police have not released any information or motives for the shooting. The Purdue Northwest is going to start closing the door of the fitness center to the general public.
Starting October 1st, PNW will be discontinuing public membership to its faculty for many seniors who participate. The program called Senior Sneakers, this means they will have to take part in the program elsewhere. The university said its decision reflected the need to accommodate the expanding needs of the campus and noted the construction of an additional residence hall on the Hammond campus. Former Fitness Center Director John Bob Lick said that this decision will damage its community relations. The Indiana Secured School Safety Board approved over $27.1 million to support safety initiatives in nearly 500 schools and districts across the state.
The schools in Lake Porter and LaPorte counties were associated a total of nearly $3.3 million from the grant. Hammond Adjacent of Science and Technology is set to receive $23,000. School City of Hammond, School Town of Munster are set to receive $92,000 in safety funding. Since the beginning of this grant, more than $214 million of the state funding has been dedicated to the grant program by Indiana Department of Homeland Security. More than 60 shipping containers fell from a cargo ship into the Pacific Ocean.
Officials said that after the ship came into port and crews started to release the straps holding the containers down, and they started to fall into the water one by one. Nearly 24 containers plunged into the ocean and even more toppled onto the dock. According to officials, the ship was coming from China and had a full load of goods ranging from shoes to clothing to electronics going to numerous stores throughout the U.S. No injuries were reported. Federal charges have been announced in the subway stabbing death of a 23-year-old Ukrainian woman in Charlotte, North Carolina. A video release shows DeCarlos Brown Jr. fatally stabbing the 23-year-old after she sat in front of him. The Justice Department formally charged DeCarlos Brown Jr. with causing death on a mass transportation system which carries up to life in prison or the death penalty. According to news media, Brown has had 14 prior criminal arrests. Brown will also be charged in the state case that will run parallel with the federal case. He is being charged with first-degree murder in the state case. The Indiana State Department of Education has released data that shows the state's chronic absentee rate declined for the 3rd year straight.
The DIOE report showed that 16.7% of students missed at least 1/10 of the school days, which is about 3.5 weeks during the 24-25 school year. Even though chronic absences have been seen year over year, improvements across all students group and grade levels, the rate continues to be the highest at the high school level, with almost 1/3 of the students in 12th grade reported to be chronically absent. The new law that passed this year that requires to meet parents after students miss more than 5 days without an excuse to create an attendance plan.
That's all the news we have for this week. I'm Jori.
And I'm Ailith. Make sure to check out the rest of our videos on YouTube.
And follow us on Instagram at ACC TV Hammond.